Why should we be stockpiling right now? Well, today we're going to be talking about what Trump just said with the escalation with Russia-Ukraine and how America is stockpiling certain things. Well, if our country is stockpiling, don't you think we should stockpile too? Secondly, there's another story with China that shows they're stockpiling materials to build more grid components for themselves, and it's based on solar. Why are they doing that? That comes at the fact that we just got a grid warning and grid threat on us for dangers. So why should we be stockpiling? We're going to talk about 4 things that I stockpiled this week because of the stories that came out. Did you know that the Supreme Court did not take up certain things they should have taken up for your 2A rights? So that's another reason why I bought certain things this week. We're going to discuss all that, along with the fact that there's another outbreak taking place, along with the fact that there's a push that something could absolutely happen bad here with biowarfare. All those stories start ramming into our head and thinking, wow, we gotta stress, we gotta think about it. To be honest with you, if you just stockpiled, you prepared, you'd be ready. Let's talk about the 4 things I purchased this week that you should be purchasing as well. A lot of these things are very economic. Don't miss out on it, because if you do, you will be standing there dependent and worried. Don't be dependent and worried. Focus on these things today. Hey guys, welcome to the Max. Thank you so very much for being here today. If you are new, please go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell, give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down. That's okay, but let us know what you think about the content of today's video. Now let's jump into the stories of the day. First, let's talk about the stories, and then we're going to find out why we're stockpiling these certain items. So this Russian escalation situation with Ukraine using the drone strikes, it actually just calls for no peace, meaning no agreements will be happening. Putin came out and said, we will not be sitting at the table. This will not go unanswered, and we are fisting to up our nuclear arsenal. I want you to listen to a report that just came out. So something is very, very wrong. The White House did not know of the Ukrainian drone attack, but there was 2 senators from the United States that actually were in Ukraine right before this took place. What is going on, and are we seeing escalations of war based on maybe players behind the scenes? Putin came out and says, by inviting war, Ukraine has made the biggest mistake so far. We will see and remember this time in history, and nuclear bombs also, if necessary, will be used. This is all because this situation that took place. Trump comes out with a comment after this. It says, just had a great talk with our military leaders. This is the strongest military we have ever seen, including the fact that we are stockpiling weapons at a rate that no one has seen in this country. Hopefully we'll never use them, but it's better to have them than not. Now, the reason I want to start off with the first one is stockpiling ammo and self-defense. Why is this important? Well, because especially in times of war and escalation, we literally see that our president is telling us that our military is stockpiling. Well, Colby, that's our military. They're supposed to. Yeah, but here's the thing. What happened in Boulder, Colorado? The gentleman was literally here illegally and caused a problem. Would it have been nice if someone was able to be a good citizen there and utilize 2A rights? It would have saved people literally burning to death almost. What about this situation here? It says, a Muslim man issues a warning to white people. Says Islam is taking over the world and America is next. There's nothing you can do to stop it. Does that make you feel comforted? No. So we want to defend and take care of our family. You know, no one cares for your family like you care for your family. That's like me. I care for other people. I care for everyone watching this, but when it comes to my family, I am more enticed to, take care of them and watch over them because they're my family. So who's gonna be watching over you all the time in bad situations? No one. It's you. Listen to this other, and this is why it's so important to make sure that we're stockpiling not only ammo, but self-defense tools. The Supreme Court will leave the blue state bans on the high-capacity magazines for things like the AR-15 and will not hear the challenges to it. So these states that have put in these regulations on firearms and safety and on your ammo, guess what? We're in a conservative Supreme Court, conservative Congress, and conservative president, and yet those bans are still in. So number one, I would tell you, is to purchase ammo, purchase brass, purchase self-defense tools. The things that I'm purchasing is things, I don't want to buy crazy rounds. I know everybody's like, oh, you need to buy the crazy rounds because everybody, you know, is going to buy the regular common rounds. Yeah, but that's just it. If you buy the crazy rounds, you better make sure you stockpile a lot because it may be to a point where you can't get them. I look at NATO rounds. I look at very common rounds that our police use, that our military uses, and that's the ones that I tend to want to purchase because that's the ones that I tend to can commonly get and make sure they have a lot of, and you can usually buy them at a more economic rate. So make sure you are buying and stockpiling ammo and self-defense tools now. Not only because our president and military is saying it, because of the escalation in Russia, but also the threats back here. The threats back here are so real. Do not miss out on that. Number 2, what else should we be stockpiling? Well, let's go to the story with China. We are in an absurd situation. We developed everything dealing with solar cells, with certain style batteries that do the best, with the solar capabilities to actually benefit America. However, we did not become the global leader in solar. China took the technology and now they are building a monster capability when it comes to solar. It says if China's 880 gigawatt of installed solar operated at the U.S. capacity factors, it would generate 44% of the U.S. electricity. We have a massive advantage. However, we have lost that to China because China overtook the solar generations, alternative energy. It says the U.S. should be dominating, but we're not. We've been smoked because we sent all our knowledge and all our goods because of trade over to China. I want you to listen to this warning from a former CIA official. It says, deadly strike coming to American grid because we're not prepared. Attack on America's infrastructure would be a blackout of national grid and life-sustaining infrastructures over a year. It would actually put 90% of the population either in starvation mode or societal collapse. Now, if we see that China's building that capability, we see our adversarial relationship is not getting much better with China. We see now that there's threats on our grid. What is number 2? Number 2 is buying a battery bank and solar generator. Now, I'm one of those people that I believe that healing the earth green-wise is regenerative ag, cows, things grazing on the grounds. But I do believe that our biggest energy source that we have not tapped into is God's blessing of the sun. Literally. It is putting out so much capabilities of energy. We just need to learn to harness it. Well, you can't control what the government does. You can't control what China does. So this is what I'm telling you. Buy a battery bank from any company that you feel obligated to buy from. I have Opus, I have Blue Eddy, I have Pecron. I have all those threes. I mean, there's certain links you can get off some of my videos, but to be honest with you, I don't care who you buy from. You need to be buying battery banks. And you need to not only buy battery banks, you need to buy solar arrays. Why? Because at some point in time, our grid is going to fail. Not because I'm telling you that to be pessimistic. I'm telling you that because we're in a very vulnerable state. Our data centers that are now running, the technocracy is now running America, they said they cannot control and have enough energy to sustain the grid by them pulling so much power and data. So data and technology is a good thing, but it needs excessive amounts of energy. So why don't we control ourselves by making sure that we have the needs that we need? So number 2 would be buying alternative energy, a battery bank, along with a solar array. Now, if you can't afford this right now, that's okay. Take your time, build up for it. Think about if you're on oxygen. Think about you're on some kind of respirator. Think if you're on some kind of sleeping mask at night. Those things require energy. If you did not have them, what kind of sustainability would you be in? If you were out of energy for a long time, how would you bake it? We see China stockpiling solar arrays because what if all of a sudden they have a plan? We see the fact that now there's warnings from the former CIA saying our grid is going to have problems or collapse because of either the data or the warnings from other big players, because they know that's how they can get at America. Make sure you are stockpiling these things this week, dealing with alternative energy. Number 3, there is new signs of face masks coming back, facial coverings coming back because of the dangers of this new variant. Now, you don't have to believe that. Here's what I am doing though, and this is what I did last week and this week. I'm stockpiling ivermectin. I'm stockpiling over-the-counter medicines. I'm stockpiling emergency preparedness medicine. Now, if you've seen my stockpile video of my first aid, kind of like my mini hospital, It's unbelievable how much stuff we already have. But just like this week alone, I had a son who was very nauseous. He was able to take the Zofran out of the pack. I had another child who had an earache. We were able to have ear drops off our emergency preparedness medicine. I had another situation where Misty and I didn't feel the best in the world. We had ivermectin and able to use. You know why I say this is important? Like the grid situation, like the military situation, we get to the point where we have a bacterial infection, or we have some kind of infection, or we're sick and you're having to run to the doctor. We did this week. We stockpiled because we don't want to have to go to town to a doctor or to a pharmacy, especially when it's a good time, because it's always got a lot of people there. But what if all of a sudden if things go bad? Why in the world would I not want to make sure that this is taken care of? So these are things I bought this week. I bought some from co-ops. I bought some from emergency preparedness medicine like Wellness and Jace, no doubt. My wife had to go on a trip with the youth this week for a youth camp. If you watched our other two videos, you would have saw that. But basically, she took that emergency medicine kit because she wants to make sure that our children and other kids that are at that camp would have the things that we need. So she took one of our kits. It's very wise to have the medicines that you are needing. Another reason, you do realize that our medicine is coming majority from China, right? You do realize that the price of that's going to go up because of containers. You do realize because of the relationship we have with them, at any point in time, they could stop the flow of a lot of the medicines. And we'd have to do what we call emergency measures to somehow get medicine productions. Why put ourselves in that precarious situation? So this week, bought ivermectin. And I would challenge you to do the same, because if you go back and look at the study, it won just about every prize you can imagine, being what we consider a miracle drug. Do not have this on your shelf. And right now, you can get it cheap. Here's another thing, just like the ammo situation where the Supreme Court, the conservative Supreme Court would not take that up and left those bans on. There are states that tried to pass the ivermectin over the counter. It got declined. Why? Because the biggest players want to keep access to that at a minimal because they know how good it is. Number 3, ivermectin. Number 4, I'm actually doing a whole video. I'm doing a little bit more research on it, but number 4, there was a person that came out and stated that there was going to be a quote-unquote, a biowarfare kind of attack on July 4th. Now, this comes at the same time that DHS has warned to be careful with festivities around July 4th because of the polarization of our nation and the attacks that we've seen, in America the last 2 or 3 weeks at health clinics and synagogues and temples and churches. So they're saying, be wary of it. Well, the point of this biowarfare was they were saying that it could kill upwards to 200,000 to 400,000 people. Now, is that going to happen or not? I don't know. We're going to do a whole video on it, and I'm doing a deep dive in it right now. But here's the thing I want you to pay attention to. The things that they were hinting towards that it was going to affect in the air was food and water. This week I bought another tote, 300-gallon tote. Now I have a lot of these around my property catching rainwater catchment. Now you're saying, well, Colby, that's not going to help you if it's in the air. That's right. I have some of these that have already put water in that are no longer being seen, meaning they could be in the ground. They can be in buildings. They can be in inconspicuous places. It's water set aside for emergency purposes. Now, we have a creek, we have a pond, we have saltwater pool, we have rainwater catchment. But if all of a sudden there is biowarfare and we can't get those things because the air is tainted and it's going to cause problems, the quote-unquote sickness is going to cause problems to animals as well. So now it goes back to, okay, well, we have to stockpile water. Well, part of that too is we have to stockpile food. They said it would kill crops and it would kill livestock. Now again, is this true? Probably not, maybe not, could be, don't know. But it's worth us saying, just like the hour, just like us talking about stockpiling ammo, the things that we've talked about stockpiling has been beneficial to us because the Supreme Court still didn't take up the ammo ban, the magazine ban. And also we still see the fact that our medicines are not made here. We also talk about we want peace, but there's no peace, so the escalations of war is still happening more and more. So the things that we need, the things that we talked about purchasing, have always benefited us because we can use them and then we can replace them. Well, water is the key and source of life. I told you I believe there's going to be a water rights fight within 5 to 10 years. You're seeing that in the West already, and you're going to see that in certain areas, especially if you have animals, livestock, and if you have farms. They're not going to allow you to have certain amounts of water. There's been big companies like Nestle buying water rights. Water is the key to life. It's physically anyway. So make sure that you are stockpiling water. So I bought a tote this week. I'm catching more water. Not only that, I have filled up water. I have water treatment tablets that I've got put in a very inconspicuous place. I also have life water straws. I want to make sure that we can have access to clean water at all times. So make sure you're stockpiling that. What goes along with that as 4B is food. If what they say is true and it's going to cause problems for our crops and problems for our animals, why are you not buying food? There's 2 new studies. I want you to listen to this right quick. It is, we're going to a time where everybody goes and buys food. I want you to listen to these 2 things. And this just deals with some donuts. I thought it made perfect sense though. Listen to this. Just one donut at Dunkin' Donuts has 65 ingredients in it. 65 ingredients in it. Now I make donuts here at my home. It has 4 ingredients in it. But this one donut has 65 ingredients. It has 20 grams of sugar, 13 grams of fat. Now I want you to listen to this right here. Titanium dioxide, which is a whitening and brightening agent found in cosmetics. This was banned in Europe, and European food safety authorities has said it's harmful and can cause cancer. It will lead to a breakdown of your DNA, and we're allowing it in food. Now, here's another thing. Did you know that some of the regulations that RFK is trying to push, they're going to put warnings on certain foods to show that this is actually not for human consumption. They're trying to get that passed for things like candies, things like little snacks that are bioengineered that we eat, things of our food system that literally need a Surgeon General's warning on it, like cigarettes, because of the dangers it is to our body. Just like this Dunkin' Donuts. Did you get a warning label to say that literally sodium dioxide causes cancer, and it's literally a brightening agent in cosmetics, but it's in your donut? Now, why do I bring that up? Because I tell you all the time to stockpile food. Not only is it a healthy move, it saves economical, but it's a smart stockpile thing to do because it allows you to have that independence. Here's another study that was done by Mario Nafal just yesterday. It says cooking at home is trending because people can't afford to go out anymore. Campbell says Americans are cooking for more, especially since 2020. Even high-income earners are shopping less, cooking at home more, buying less takeout, and actually eating the leftovers. Campbell said this will help because people are starting to realize the value of cooking at home. Now, here's what I want to tell you. Not only does it save money, not only can you spend time with your family around the kitchen table, not only is it smart because you're being independent and building skills that we all need, it's just smart prepping. Because when food gets tough and when things get tight, if you have food, you have a barterable item, you have independence because you have food and water, and you're at a peak optimal situation. If you're sitting there with food, medicine, alternative energy, and defense, that's the things I talked about in today's video. Very simple things that your grandpa and grandma would have told you. But if you're sitting there with food, with defense, with water, with healthcare, and with alternative energy, all these things that we talked about, all these problems, won't affect you. May be inconvenient, but won't affect you. Make sure you're buying these things today. Not because I'm telling you, because look at the stories between the Supreme Court, between Congress, between this new report that July 4th could have a biowarfare attack, and also because even Trump is saying we're stockpiling ammo as a military and building more weaponry because we know, even though we don't want to use it, it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. That's what I tell you all the time. I'd rather you have the things as insurance. I'd rather have the stockpiled items. And then ultimately, if you don't use it, you can start going through it. Ultimately, if nothing bad happens, that's okay. You can have it for backup and you can always use it. And you can always rotate it in and out. Water, foods, and ammo. Don't be without it though. That's things I bought this week, guys. I hope that you are buying those too. Make sure you are buying what you can. I know you can't buy a lot, but that's okay. Maybe pick up some rice and beans this week. Maybe pick up a water container this week. Maybe pick up a part of your solar array this week. Maybe pick up just a little of the medicine this week. It's always good to have it. It's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Guys, thank you for watching. God bless.